Hi, we're halfway through Holy Week and it's an important turning point. The reading for today is from Matthew 26, but I want to reflect on what's happened a bit earlier in Matthew and position middle of Holy Week in the whole of Holy Week. So the first half of the week is triumphalism. The crowds love Jesus. We see some of his most important and beloved teaching. The two great commandments, for example, in Matthew chapter 22. And shortly after we have the denunciation of the Pharisees and scribes in chapter 23 of Matthew. No wonder those church leaders didn't like him. The teaching is about how we should live if we are to follow in Jesus' footsteps, especially that we have to love God fully and to love and to be a neighbour to everyone. Both of these great commandments are hard to do. Then we come to Holy Week, the middle of Holy Week. This is a turning point. Why do you think that Jesus was taken at night? Because the Pharisees were afraid of the popular reaction from the crowds, which till then had supported Jesus. And they were afraid, the Pharisees were afraid, that the crowds might disrupt any actions of the Pharisees. And so we come to today's reading, which is the start of the betrayal story in Matthew 26. And it starts this way. Then one of the 12, who was called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What will you give me if I betray him?" They paid 30 pieces of silver. And from that moment, he began to look for an opportunity to betray Jesus. I think the phrasing here is important. It doesn't start, Judas Iscariot went to the chief priests and said, "What will you pay me if I betray him?" It starts one of the 12, Judas Iscariot. So it's describing Judas Iscariot as one of the 12. One of the 12. So I think what the writer of Matthew is doing here is highlighting that this betrayal was done by this one of the 12. There were other betrayals too, of course, that of Peter being the one we remember well. But of course, the Judas Iscariot betrayal is the most dramatic and, is the centre of this particular story. But again, I want to come back to what I think the writer of Matthew is saying. What is said is highlighting it was just one of the 12 who did this, that others betrayed Jesus as well. Other followers of Jesus betrayed Jesus as well. So, when I reflect on this reading and this part of Holy Week, I think about how I betray Jesus, how I don't love God with all my heart and all my soul and all my mind, how I am not a neighbour to everybody, at least as much as I should be. But then again, of course, I know that I can start again tomorrow, being forgiven and trying to do better. So, thank you very much.